But I'm hopeful. The question is, like, what would they do with Prime 3 and the pointer controls? What else have we got? EA showing off the new Star Wars game, which hopeful for, skeptical of. Being developed by Respawn, who everybody, all the news articles I see of them these days, talk about Respawn, creators of Apex Legends. But the more relevant thing for a single-player campaign, a single-player Star Wars game, is Respawn, creators of Titanfall 2, which had a single-player campaign, and I've heard it's fantastic. Like, a surprisingly strong single-player campaign in Titanfall 2, which I should really get to. I do have Titanfall 2 on Xbox, and I just haven't played it. I heard it's good. Oh, this is Blowhard. This is the boss we're after. But no, I'm hopeful for it. EA has turned around and said, no DLC, no season pass, no microtransactions. They might have said no loot boxes at any point, which, you know, immediately won them points with a lot of people. With me, it immediately got me thinking, then what's the catch? Because they've done this before. Back when Battlefront was coming out, EA Battlefront, or if you read the logo of the damn thing, Star Wars Battlefront EA. Ugh.
Thanks for releasing me, Spyro. You have no idea how long I've been trapped in Crystal. And, neither do I. Who are you again?
I'm out of here.
Right, so, for Battlefront EA turns around and says, no microtransactions. Which at the time, great, cool. What was the catch? Well, the catch was the game was barely worth playing. It was so light on content, it was honestly unbelievable. And it was a full price game, so $60, £50, full price. And what you get for your full price is a handful of maps. I think it launched with like 5 maps. Not big maps either. The multiplayer was smaller than it was in Battlefront 2 Classic, which is what we have to call it now. Or, you know, as I call it, the good Battlefront 2. And the season pass was pricey. It was like 30 quid for the season pass. And so at that point, you're paying like £80 for a full game. And it's like, I'm sorry, what? Is this because you said you wouldn't put microtransactions in? Was this you trying to get the money back for that? Awesome. And one dragon? Yep. We're all good, let's get out of here. And so, also no single player campaign. And the local multiplayer content was so worthless. So, you couldn't access most of the game offline. Here you go, Beast Makers. You couldn't access most of the game, most of the single player game. You couldn't access most of the game unless you were playing it online. Because almost every mode was online only. There's no single player content. There were a bunch of missions you could get that were not worth mentioning, honestly. And it's kind of a shame because gameplay-wise, it was a decent game. It looked fantastic, it played fairly well. It was just so bare bones. It was a full-priced game. It was like, what? And so Battlefront 2's coming around, and EA, knowing exactly what they're doing, turns around and says, single player campaign, no season pass, DLC will be free. And it's like, oh, you know, that sounds really good. EA's making up for the mess that was the first Battlefront, the overpriced garbage nature of it. Again, it wasn't a bad game. It was overpriced and very light on content.
Nasty Nork is turning our swamp into an electrified junk heap. And it used to be so beautiful.
I'm sure it was.
Alright, so DLC is going to be free. No season pass. Cool, cool. Single player campaign. Cool. The game comes out, and honestly, if you missed the massive controversy over Battlefront 2, where were you? That was the game that finally turned like so many people against loot boxes. Because the game launched, the game wasn't even out before the whole loot box controversy kicked off. Because the beta showcased all of it. And it was essentially the loot boxes contained what they called star cards, which would basically be your upgrades. And they were basically the only way to get your upgrades, or the only reliable way. I forget if there was actually a way to get them. And so you have an issue there with you're essentially a pay-to-win game in what is a full-price game.
Spyro, it's great to see you, but I've got to go.
So, you've got a pay-to-win economy in a full-price game immediately bad. EA doesn't help things, because of course they don't. Their PR just does not know how to handle these things. Because you know what it's like with these corporations' PR, they can never admit they were wrong. And because of the big backlash, EA turns off these microtransactions a little before launch, I think it was. Or they turn off the loot boxes a little before launch, so you couldn't buy these loot boxes. And they specifically turn around and say, it's temporary, we're going to turn them back on at some point. I was like, well, you know, you've already lost confidence. You lost my confidence here, EA. And as a result of that, like, I think loot boxes would also get... Oh god, I'm gonna die. Nope. Damn it. I think loot boxes would also get you... credits to unlock hero characters for use in... I don't know, I don't really pay much attention to that because there's so much else going on around that whole thing. But essentially the grind for the hero characters was excessive in the extreme. One person figured out, like, they calculated it, and it would take something like 20 hours of, like, 20 hours straight of multiplayer games to earn enough credits to unlock Darth Vader. And there were different prices for different hero characters. And Darth Vader was one of the most expensive, because if you're a Star Wars fan, who are you more likely to want to play as? It's like, not to rag on the sequel trilogy or anything, but you're going to want to play as Rey, or are you going to want to play as Darth Vader? And so you had characters like Rey, and Yoda was cheaper than Darth Vader, and Chewie was definitely cheaper than Darth Vader, even though it's Chewie. I think Luke Skywalker was the most expensive hero, while Vader was the most expensive villain hero. Like, hero for the bad guys. And EA's response on Reddit to the whole thing became almost instantly became the single most downvoted comment in Reddit history. I was like, oh. And then around this, the whole single-player campaign that we'd been promised was also complete crap. It worked bad. It didn't work well. Alright, to begin with, we start with, it didn't work well. It didn't play well. The AI was honestly really poor. What do I need for this? Is this more dragons? $50. How many do I have? 48. Alright, fair enough. I was like, the story was bad, which, whether you want to put that down to DICE or EA, or even just the way Disney's handled Star Wars since they bought it, that's up to you. But the story in the campaign was bad. It had very little redeeming features. The AI was stupid, because the entire game was pretty much meant for multiplayer. You would never expect it to play against bots. At least not for any real extended period. So the AI was butt stupid. How many am I missing? Right, so I got the dragons. I need 52 gems. I'm missing a key, and I need to get to that island somehow. Do I glide to it from the pyramid? Yeah, and the campaign, the story was not good. The AI was so stupid. There's the key. I do need to get that island. Glide from the pyramid, yes. And when it came down to it, the campaign was not even worth bothering with. And the ending was locked away until after Episode 8 came out. Because it would tie in with Episode 8 somehow. And I don't think anybody really cared once Episode 8 did come out. Oh, god damn it. Like, once Episode 8 did come out, I don't think anybody cared to finish the campaign. Episode 8 has a whole load of controversy around it among Star Wars fans to begin with, but that's not what we're talking about. Nobody cared to finish the campaign when the ending came out. Which, honestly, is fair enough. I think it's a really horrible idea. It's like, oh yeah, no, we've made the campaign, but the ending is going to be held back so we don't spoil the new movie for you. It's like, you know what would have been a better idea? If you held back the game so you didn't spoil the campaign. Either that or just warn people that it'll spoil the game. This is like when the Star Wars Episode 3 game came out. I think that came out like 2 weeks before the movie. And at that point, the entire thing is like, if you don't want the game spoiled, if you don't want the plot of Episode 3 spoiled for you, don't get the game. So, you know, like, either give the consumers more credit, or hold the game back for a month or so. It's not a difficult thing. But yeah, like, that whole thing is exactly the reason why hopeful, very skeptical about Jedi Fallen Order. And that took me like, what? That was probably a full part to explain my feelings on that. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful. Just really skeptical because I didn't have much interest when EA announced it. And then EA started saying things to get people hyped. And it really is the whole no DLC, no season pass, and we're not going to add any. So it was no DLC, no season pass, no loot boxes, and we're not going to add any. And that got me skeptical. Because when they said that kind of thing about Battlefront 2, and like it was trying to sell you something with the praise. Oh yeah, no, this is really good because you're gonna get all the DLC free, it'll all be included, and then it's like, oh well, this is the price of it. And so it's a case of that. No DLC, no season pass, no loot box. We don't intend to add loot boxes. Specifically worded, so it's probably we don't intend to add loot boxes, not we don't intend to add DLC. Specifically worded, so they can always fall back on that. And at this point my question is, okay, so what's the cost of that for us? Because in Battlefront 2, it was the loot boxes and the pay-to-win economy of the entire game. I've heard Battlefront 2 has become a much better game since, and the loot boxes, because of the whole controversy over it, the loot boxes became cosmetic only. And I do own Battlefront 2. I picked it up, wasn't that long after launch, actually. The price dropped for it really quickly because there was a lot of damage to the brand that year, the Star Wars brand. So I picked it up because the price dropped really quickly, and I was doing the campaign. I never finished the campaign because I just lost so much interest in the entire thing. It didn't feel good to play. I wasn't enjoying it. I didn't like the characters. I wasn't enjoying the journey of the hero. I don't remember what her name was. I'm trying to think, like Eden Urso, and it's like Eden's right, but Urso was the name of the Rogue One main character, Jyn Urso. I don't even remember what the name was.
Watch out, Spyro. The Norks in these parts have discovered the power of electricity, and it really stings.
Yeah, so what else do we got with E3? I'm not entirely sure, because I've just been paying that little attention to games media in recent years. Every now and then, it's like, because I follow a bunch of gaming websites, and they'll usually have articles or some stuff up for me that's like, oh yeah, no, this is something I'm interested in. It's like when the Resident Evil 2 remake was announced, it's like, oh yeah, no, this is something I'm interested in. God damn it, that guy just waited for me. Like when the Resident Evil 2 remake was announced, and it was like, ooh. And then there was 3 years that passed between that, and in between those 3 years, I had lost a lot of interest in following stuff. And so 3 years later, when we actually finally get gameplay footage, and one of the gaming sites I'm following does actually talk about it, it's like, well, now I'm interested in something, and it's just that. Why? Because I like Resident Evil. And that's it. Getting me interested in a new IP is very difficult. Mostly because we've seen a lot of new IPs get hyped and overhyped, and then not live up to any of the hype. And so at this point, if it's a new IP, I don't particularly care until you prove it's good. And that's basically it. Once you prove it's good, it's cool. I may become a fan at that point, but I'm not interested until the game is out and you've proven it's good.
Good job, Spyro. One day you'll be able to tell all the dragons about your amazing adventures.
Sure, but what I'd really like to do is get out of this swamp.
Draw me like one of your French dragons. Come on, come on, come on. Turn and flip. Bam. Nice. So yeah, no, I don't really follow a lot of stuff. Ubisoft said Beyond Good and Evil 2 isn't going to be at E3. Although at this point, the thing with Beyond Good and Evil 2 is pretty much entirely, you know what, give me a release date and I'll start caring. You kind of had me caring with that last trailer that showed that Jade and Paige were going to be in the game. Because, you know, Beyond Good and Evil 2, what do I care about with Beyond Good and Evil? I care about the characters. I like the characters. And once they showed that the characters I actually liked are going to be in the game, and it wasn't just, oh no, it takes place in the same universe somewhere else, and it's completely unconnected. No, once they showed me the connections to the first Beyond Good and Evil, I was great, interested. It's been a while since that happened, and we've not seen anything since. And Ubisoft said they're not bringing it to E3. It's like, What do you got then, Ubisoft? Because God knows I'm not going to be interested if you say Assassin's Creed. I'm not going to be interested if you turn around and tell me Watch Dogs. I'm not going to be interested if you turn around and say Far Cry. The hell, at this point, what have you got to do? Actually show Beyond Good and Evil 2, give me a release date. Or do more Rayman. I'd be on board with more Rayman. What else have we got? Nintendo. Nintendo's always a wild card. You never know what Nintendo's going to do, which is a good and a bad thing. But there's also the thing with Nintendo where a lot of the time they won't even... a lot of other companies will save like their big announcements for E3. Nintendo doesn't really bother with that. They'll announce stuff whenever they want. It's like you got the Link's Awakening remake coming to Switch. I think it's in December, sometime this year. It's late this year. They announced that on just a regular direct. It's like the only... Actually, I think we've had 2 directs this year. The last one was a Pokemon one. Oh yeah, it's just the exit. Yeah, there was the Pokemon direct and like just a standard direct, which was way earlier this year. There's somewhere I can actually go around here, am I gonna have to go back? But yeah, Nintendo just announced the remake of Link's Awakening. No. You just announced it at this totally standard Nintendo Direct. You can never predict what they're going to do. They announced Pokemon just kind of out of nowhere. The name, the whole thing with it. Oh, it's Pokemon Sword and Shield. They had the Direct for that recently. Where more details came out that I've not watched because honestly I'm just tired of Pokemon now. I keep trying to get back into it, it isn't working, I'm just going to stop. Until they actually change what I don't like about Pokemon, or until they bring back some interesting spin-offs. Remember when Pokemon had interesting spin-offs? Remember Pokemon Snap? That was fun. Remember Pokemon Ranger? That was interesting. They did something different with that. It was cool. Music is really low-key in this level. It's like the main series just doesn't interest me anymore. I find the battle system to be really boring, and they don't do anything with it. It's like, oh no, the battle system is super deep if you get into the meta. Yeah, also, Smash Ultimate is apparently super meta. Getting to the meta of Smash Ultimate is like, so much you can do there. Yeah, no, I play games for fun. If I'm getting into the meta, that's not fun anymore for me. It's fun for you, great. But don't tell me the values of training IVs and EVs and specific movesets and going for specific natures and how that's so deep and complex. And it's like, no, the main battle system itself, when you're playing through the story, is boring to me. And it's kind of a shame because there is a lot I do like about Pokemon. I love the designs of a lot of it. I love the ideas. It's like Detective Pikachu was coming out, and I was just as interested as everybody else to see the Pokemon. I don't think I ever heard anybody talk about the plot of that movie. I don't even know what the plot was. Main character's father's gone missing, that was kind of it. And then all anybody cared about after that was the Pokemon. How do I get up there? I need to do some kind of glide. Wait a minute, if I move along that ledge... If I get onto that ledge... But yeah, no, Pokemon as a series just... The main series doesn't interest me anymore, so I've not seen the Sword and Shield Direct, I don't care. Oh, Dynamaxing, now you can do multiplayer co-op battles against giant Pokemon. Yeah, nope, don't care. Can I get there from here? I kind of doubt it. No, I can't. How the hell am I doing this? There's gotta be a way. Huh. There it is. No, it isn't. I'm not gonna make that. Is there a way into one of these? There's gotta be one of these because there's chests up there. It's like, how do I get the chest otherwise? I have to glide from somewhere again. There's steps up to this one, which suggests you need to get round there. Wow, the turning on the actual free look is way too loose. Let's try it. It ain't gonna work. Nope. Alright, we're back. Turns out there's a hidden set of stairs here. Not actually hidden, but they're so hard to know. It's like, let's come around here again. It's like, And then you think you have to glide. You'd only notice them if you're going back, which isn't likely. It's like, jeez. So that was a lot of time wasted. Bunch of lives lost. Where were we? Yeah, I don't know, I mean, just not that into Pokemon anymore. It's not like there aren't other series that will give you a very similar idea. You're capturing monsters and making them fight for you. Dragon Quest monsters, Dragon Quest might have done it first. There's Dragon Quest V had that kind of idea. Dragon Quest Monsters might have been after Pokemon came out, but I'm pretty sure Dragon Quest V did it first. And Dragon Quest will offer a deeper experience with it. And of course, when I say deep, I mean... Come on, yes. When I say deep, I mean actual depth in the game, not in the meta game. But you know, you try and pick up Dragon Quest outside Japan, hope for the game to come out, and you know, you're going to be waiting for a while. I don't think we ever actually got the last Dragon Quest Monsters game. Joker 3, I think it was. Which is a shame, because the first two were pretty good.